It's on our recent events.
A lot going on, that's for sure. Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, we are live again. Give it a minute here to register on the social medias. Whoops. And we are just running full steam, man. I know you are as well. But I'm real excited with a bunch of stuff that we're about to launch and get into. I won't. I'll try not to go off on a tangent and explain it all today. But well, because it's like I'm trying to figure out.
Like, I have a cup of coffee, so I can handle it, right? Yeah. So
I got mine as well. I just made a latte, but no, because as we've been doing this, Mike, we've been building the opportunity, building the relationship between you and I and what we're working on. But since our missions and align, and obviously those whom we're meant to serve align a lot, we're trying to figure out different ways to be more useful, to be more valuable to an audience. And my way of doing that is, hey, let's educate. The best thing you do is educate, share new ideas, share perspectives you've learned through working with others. And since both of us have, at this point, we're both in the hundreds of conversations we've had with military retirees. Yours is you're more from a how do I get my next job perspective and get paid the right amount. Mine is more from a, what do I do with that money when I'm getting paid the right amount? And by the way, am I wasting money on these military benefits that are really not benefits, they're really features?
Sure.
And that's the better reframe. Is that they're features, not benefits. Not bad, just you don't necessarily need all the features, so you don't have to pay for it. So
you and I have been doing this, and just for the listeners or future listeners, right? I mean, we've really been tied at the hip here for almost 3 years now, right? I mean, since we launched Blue Water, and I think you hit the nail right on the head, right? I mean, so much of what we do here, on this side, I'll say it that way, on this side of the fence, right? When we're talking about individuals navigating their career progression or transition, right? Mm-hmm. And really how to assess what a good fit is, and then ultimately how to navigate to that good fit and secure it, right? Turn that vision into reality. And in all of our career progression consultants, myself, Steve Weeman, Ryan Herdlick, Todd Flannery, Jim Webb, all and many more. Dave Wadelick is coming online. These individuals, John Malfitano is with us now as well. Fred Smith down in Pensacola have just incredible backgrounds of success wearing the uniform, have navigated this career progression transition space, and have found success on the outside. And so now we're securing all those insights to come back here. The point, and I'm going to get to it, is our relationship, right? Such a large part of our members come to us and they go, hey, Mike, what about survivor benefit plan? What about thrift savings? Or what about, VA benefits or medical or all these other kind of things? And what we share with our Blue Water members is, I go, hey, look, I can talk with you on those things because I personally navigated those things just like you're going through, right? We all did. We have that commonality. My preference, which is why we're so excited we built this relationship with you and Jen at US Vet Wealth, because this is your swim lane, right? You are the current, relevant, credible expert. You've devoted, what are you doing this now? 10, 15 years? Like you've immersed yourself into this, and just, I love the way you say it. Our members are coming through. They're going to step into some of the largest earning potential that they will have at their life, right? Considering many of our members secure, retirement. They're going to be stepping into this new world. We're going to help them navigate the space and land and be successful. But you phrased that just right. They've got a new set of challenges. Okay. How do you manage that war chest? What do you do? What are the best practices out there? Right. And historically, what does that look? Your books, right? By rank for, 05s, 06s, right? It's a different, maybe discussion. It looks a little bit different. The numbers look a little bit different, but it's equally important to each of those demographics, right? And So just for the listeners out there, right? It's a great relationship. It's a trusted relationship. And I'm appreciative to have you on the team because I don't have that expertise. And in many instances, there are 50 people that you might be able to kind of point to, but there's only one of them that we've got the trust and confidence and the relationship that we've built over time, and that's you. So anyway,
I
love it.
I appreciate it, Mike, and
Yeah.
and likewise, because what I recognize as so in these conversations we've had, you and I just get on phone calls, just hey, what do you think about this? I had a retiree going through this situation. I wasn't expecting that.
Yep.
We've just learned so much together, and so the one thing we've kind of recognized is that when it comes to money and sense of purpose, the real skill that's lacking, and no financial plan, no retirement plan, no extra military benefits, and no perfect resume or job is gonna solve the problem if you don't fix it yourself. And that's, how do you position yourself in the marketplace? Networking.
Yeah.
How do you network? How do you take off the uniform and recognize sometimes it's time to stop following orders in a good way? Like you gotta make it your own way. And that's what the networking is. Networking, is your net worth, as they say, but also from a curiosity standpoint, what do you want to be doing with your life? And so I give all that caveat, and I appreciate the relationship, because I think we're discovering kind of missing gaps in opportunities to add extra value. So here's what happened. And we both got some updates to talk about from our trip to DC next week. But real quick, for my trip, hold on, I'm going to share a screen here real quick. I went up to DC.
You were up there 2 weeks ago? Is that what it was? You were up there the week before we were up there, right? Is that right?
No, the day before you're up there.
Or the day.
I was up there last week.
No, okay, that's right. It was the same week, but you were just a couple of days in front of us. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So, anyways, what I was up is I was at I don't know, the geophysical spatial place in DuPont Circle. It was a crazy building. And the Small Business Association was putting on an event called Pathway to Business for military spouses. There's a lot of programs out there helping military spouses through entrepreneurship. And I actually went through the Rosie Network Service to CEO program. I did this back in 2017. And so in and of itself, Rosie Network, it's a networking event as well as a program, whatever. So anyways, that's how I got invited in. They asked me to go represent the Rosie Network at this thing. Now, what this box here up on the right was one of their teaching slides or one of the part of the coursework. And this is just called the business model canvas. So anybody who's ever thought about starting a business at one point has probably seen or heard of the one-page business model canvas. And the whole idea is to get everything kind of on one sheet that you need to think about for your business. Just kind of a simple standard. And my argument when it comes to money has always been, hey, military retiree, think of yourself as a business. You are now looking for customers. The customer might be somebody who hires you for a few years, but that's how you kind of reframe taking back control versus, hey, where's my next duty station? Right. Where's my next position? And that just gives you more permission to seek out new opportunities. So as I was sitting there, I started drafting up an idea I was like, what if Mike and I had a worksheet that wasn't necessarily about numbers? There's probably a spot in there to have numbers in there. But real quick, I want to hit on what's also unique about all this. And this gets misunderstood. These timelines are portrayed in a way that you must do this by this month and so on and so forth. But that's not how it works. Everybody shows up at a completely different time for a given topic or for a given thing. Like, I don't know, some people hear about SBP a couple months before their retirement date. Of course, they should have heard about it 36 months out. Well, how does getting the checklist that says 30 months out, you should start doing this? It doesn't help. Nobody actually shows up on the timeline that's recommended in all these transition programs, right?
Well, I mean, and just let me rip off that just for a second, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, please.
That absolutely is, a recurring message that we hear. You remember what it's like, right? Think of the pedigree of the individuals that we're talking about. Think of the selfless dedication that they have. Think of the service before self, right? We all are these A-type personalities, right? And we are not going to let anything fail, right, on our watch, right? That's just who we are, right? That's this is what America gets from the A team, right? We're in doing our job till the bitter end. And again, just if the listeners will excuse me for the parallel that I'll draw, but almost to a fault, right? Because the one thing that all of us fail to recognize until really the bitter end in most cases is that, in my case, the United States Navy was not going to stop its mission or fail at it because Mike Wallace was at 30 years and it's time for me to seek something else in life, right? Whether I made that decision on my own or it was just the end of the road for me, and whatever the case may be. And usually it's at that point in time, everybody, takes a breath of a deep breath and they go, oh my gosh, like they realize, they look at this checklist you're laying out and they try to do it all, right? All 36 months or however you got it broke down. And they go, man, I'm stepping on a terminal leave next week and I've done nothing. So I recognize this recurring theme, right? And the requirements for individuals to do things is not going to be the same from person to person. And you've heard us talk about this, right? Some networking requirements may be, longer and farther than others. You'll laugh out loud at this, but I was just talking to a member who signed up for our December 6th cohort, last one of the year, which, oh, by the way, for the audience, we've got one seat left for the entire year. It's in DC. It's on December 6th. So if you have a vision of joining the Blue Water family, sign up for it now. And this is 2 months out still. It's going to go. It's going to fill. So, but he had a vision. I start talking to him. I go, what do you want to do? And he goes, well, I'm looking at Amazon. I really like to go to Amazon. And come to find out at the end of the conversation, he goes, well, my brother works at Amazon. I go, well, that's a good thing. That's part of your network. And I go, what does he do? And he's like an executive vice president level 10 at Amazon. And I go, okay, I'm pretty sure in the world of networking, right? That contact is going to be able to turn some wheels for you. And if not, you can go grab your mom and bring her down on your brother, who's this L10 at Amazon, and say, hey, look, turn the wheel, right? But the point is, in this case, his networking bridge may not be as long as somebody else who has no connections there, yet they didn't have time to build these bridges because we're all obsessed with our day job when we're wearing the uniform, and that's just who we are. But that's the great thing about Blue Water. To all of our members, you're welcome. You are welcome. We're building the network for you, right? It won't be all encompassing, but it'll be a cat shot into your networking experience to wherever it is you want to go. And that's the great thing about what we're trying to build and preserve here at Blue Water with your help at US Vet Wealth, right? It's all about networking, right? So I love the product that you built there. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, because that's all relevant, because now think about now this is just a draft slide thinking about the timeline for the various things people talk to me about.
Yeah.
This isn't even talking about VA disability or, job hunting stuff. Now, here's the real problem why this slide's relevant. Think about the perspective of the retiree going through the program. What happens? They end up asking their buddies who went a few months, a few years before, what did you do about this? What did you do about this? But for forgetting, when did that person first find out about that same problem? And so we're just making this general assumption, as we do in the military, that, all the context is always going to be the same. And of course, that's not true. So what I want to do through our program, at least on the financial side of things, we're creating essentially a version of like a 9-line military retiree pay and benefits checkup, or an audit or something like that. Trying to come up with the name of it. I'm gonna run it by you. Ask for some guinea pigs to run some stuff. That's another presentation. But for what we're doing, thinking about network again, really the right word is positioning. And the reason I say positioning is because it incorporates not just, hey, I got to put myself out there and get to know a bunch of people. It's like, for what purpose? And I don't like the word compete. I don't like to think about competition in that way, but just understanding that there's a lot of other variables and people's intentions and goals in that. And that's why just being clear about where you're trying to position yourself in this market for whatever job you're trying to get. Whether it's or start a business or anything, you're gonna end up doing this stuff anyways.
That's the important starting point. And again, often with our members, and you've sat in several events with us, and when they come and spend the day with us and they realize the first thing we want to talk to them about is, hey, what is your personal mission, vision, and priorities? Like, what are the big rocks in your life that you want to preserve, that make sure that you've been wearing the uniform and you've been saying, hey, when the time is right, I'm going to set aside some time so I can pay it back to my family, or whatever it happens to be. Or, I'm going to value my time monetarily more or appropriately, and I'm going to secure this. So, we call those the big rocks when you're making your own personal strategy, right? What's the mission, vision, and what are the priorities along the way, right? And there's a little bit of eye rolling back into the head sometimes. People go, oh, Mike, really? This is what we're going to talk about? And the short answer is like, yeah. The short answer is yes, right? Because it has to start there. But it quickly segues into just exactly what you said. Now, what do you want to pursue? What is going to be a good fit that again, that is going to preserve those big rocks that you just set aside? Hey, this is important to me in life, so I now need to find my next success that's going to allow me to protect these things. Right. And maybe SBP's in there, maybe thrift savings plan, the war chest, right? Maybe all that is in there, and you got to figure out a way to preserve that. And then as you're assessing these companies and industries that you're going to pursue, some may do this well enough, or some may not support that at all. But the point is, you have to have a strategy to know if you're on track or not, right? And for everybody out there, it kind of comes out of nowhere and hits you abruptly. You have and depending on what your service is, but you have no placement officer, you have no detailer, you have no community manager. If you're a Marine, you have no monitor, right? What's Army assignments officer? You don't have any of that anymore. There's nobody that's assessing the terrain for you and telling you this is where we want and need you, and this is where you're going, and we've mapped out this for you. 100% of all of that now rests on your shoulders.
Yeah.
And our relationship, the war chest and understanding the timeline and when do I need to think about certain things. That's key, Scott. And I love what you put together here. That's legit, right? I mean, there's
because what derails, that search of opportunities, prioritizing what you want. It's these problems.
Yeah,
it's these financially related problems that either derail it because it's just another stressor, or more of what happens is people don't know about something and leave opportunity on the table. That's kind of why the book's called "Don't Forget Your War Chest."
Absolutely. And here's the other thing too. And these individuals, again, if they pick wrong and they fast track through all this stuff, they go like, Mike, I don't want to do that. I want to do anything. I just want to grab the brass ring and I want to go here. Careful, because why? Because we've been doing this long enough, because we know if you pick poorly and you step into that environment, you hate getting out of bed in the morning. It doesn't secure your big rocks for you. It's not a good fit, and you just, fast hands in the cockpit, to use an old phrase, and you landed there and you're miserable. What do we know about our membership? They are secure enough in who they are that if they are miserable, they will get up and they will leave. They will not stay. And you now just added more time required to find that best fit. So don't skip these steps, right? I mean, don't skip, right? You have to go through this process. You don't have to live in these worlds, but man, you got to go through a little bit and give it a little bit of thought just so you kind of have a, hey, I'm on track or I'm not, right?
Yeah. And so what I want to identify, these are, again, are some of the financial priorities, but for our kind of, this positioning, from that perspective, Mike, you and I can kind of work together offline. I'd like to get your thoughts on, what would be some of the problems that come up for that. And then likewise, what are the mistakes that cause those problems? From a lot of the financial standpoints, really what it comes down to is we're in a limited knowledge bubble when it comes to finances. Because what is military finance all about? Financial readiness. That's the word. Well, what's readiness about? Deployment. They don't care what your accounts do. They just want to make sure you can deploy. So let's leave
your dental status, your medical status. Hey, you're not going to fall over dead. Here, grab this thing and go this direction, right? Yeah, get going.
So same thing with networking. How are you trying to position yourself? Like, you can only control how well you're going to get promoted or what next job you're going to do is so much. But with positioning, you have full control. So all this background to say, well, what if we just had our own one-page worksheet that allows everybody to kind of from a more heady standpoint to sit down and be like, all right, if we were having this conversation 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever kind of general time frame we're looking at as we're figuring out what we want to do with ourselves when we grow up, what would have to happen for us to feel good about our success, both personally and professionally? And these are the things that seem to come up from my perspective. And what I thought, Mike, is with this kind of networking masterclass idea that we've been bounced around, that we put together, like, what if we held, I don't know if it would be a weekly or probably bi-weekly. I kind of think bi-weekly. Usually these groups I've been in, every couple weeks, people come in, check in, practice introducing themselves a little bit. And then, maybe we have a presentation on a particular topic, or we have a guest speaker. And I've got tons of people that I know. I got a guy who I just networked with through one of my mastermind groups. He's about to buy a business, retired out of the military, and now just a government contracting business. So it's like he came out of the corporate world after the military, and it's not like he's getting loans and all that. So it's like, eventually, people might want to learn kind of stuff like that. How would you buy it? How would you do that?
Guest speaker, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We've had some members go out and start businesses as well too. That's a unique discussion. Right?
And guess what? Those guys look for people to hire, and
they do. Right?
And a lot of them are visionaries like me. They need an operator. Yeah. So they need someone to just come in and be like, hey, I'm going to learn and figure out as we go. I don't, even if I don't get paid right away, if you're in a position to do that financially, those are the types of things that can come out of this. The point of this is to ask those questions that are going to be relevant and try to figure out the kind of, your own individual timelines. This is to truly personalize what comes up. Who do you know? Yeah. Who do you need to know? Do you have a plan to get there? Do you know some strategy? Do you want to learn some strategies? So we can teach some hacks, little things. And here's the cool thing. I'm still learning. I would like to keep learning. I have my own version of this. Yeah, absolutely. This would be more relevant for the active retiree going through the process, going through your program, but it doesn't have to necessarily be a Blue Water thing or a U.S. Vet Wealth thing. This is just I think, a useful tool that I would have found helpful. Remind yourself of your health. And so maybe each episode we could talk about a different section a little more in depth, but also get people's feedback. Hey, tell us what you think your talent stack is that you're bringing to the table. That's not just what did I do in the Army? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because like for me, I think of my talent stack is, hey, I'm decent at a couple languages and I can travel on a whim. Like that's a random talent stack, that some people just aren't comfortable with. So I want to add that into my thing. I don't know where it's going to become useful. But, in random situations, sometimes it kind of comes up. I want to identify those types of things that are essentially my strengths. And instead of trying to fix my weaknesses, I just want to keep leaning into my strengths. Because if you build the right relationships, those people will help you with your weaknesses, or solve those problems to you. So anyways, obviously I could talk about this, but this is the general idea.
No, I love it. And can you go back one slide? I'm not sure if you can do that.
Hold on.
Or not. I probably messed you up there. Okay, stop here.
I didn't make a formal presentation. I was just throwing some slides I wanted to share with you, so don't worry.
No, I love it. But the biggest problem, right? The group think, right? And I find
95% of active duty military get SGLI. Everyone's overpaying. That's groupthink. That's the definition of groupthink.
But how often do we approach these problems? We've been indoctrinated in this, right? Because we have the trust and confidence in our warfighting brethren out there. So we do groupthink. Hey, what did you do? You're reaching out in front of you. Hey, what do you think about this? And I call it, it's a potential misstep, because that may not be the best answer for you. Just because in this juncture, right? Just because the guy in front of you did this, that may not be. And the one thing that we put out in Blue Water is I say, don't get caught up in comparing and contrasting your career progression to anybody else's, because everybody has a different set of big rocks. Everybody has a different set of mission, vision, and priorities. Everybody is looking at different options. If you want to leave Department of Defense and work in government contracting, maybe that's less of a networking bridge that you will have to build than somebody who wants to go work for Xerox, right? As an example of a company, right? You can't compare and contrast those, starting points and ending points, because they're just different requirements. So I love how you just say, hey, problems, right? Groupthink, it's not a one size fits all, right? It's unique, right? And you just have to approach it that way. But Scott, let me ask you a question here. I love this. And so, hey, we've got some pretty good friends down at Marathon, right? Consulting, who are going to be our integral partners as we're bringing Blue Water Digital online and doing some pretty cool things. I wonder, Scott, think about this. People that utilize this product like 36 months out, 24 months out, 12 months out, and then it's like every 2 months, 10, 8, 6, all the way down to, man, I'm out and I'm stepping into transition. I wonder if there'd be a way, right, that we could reach out to the audience and just say, what are your milestone, key points that you need in each of these blocks? And then have an IT way where we're able to collect all these up. You with me? I mean,
I know exactly how to do it.
Think about this. And so now 50 people use this product, 100 people use it. Now 1,000 people have used this, and let's condense this down into those big, hey, here's some things, because I love ideas like this. But even you said, hey, there's things we're still learning, and you and I do. We stumble through these things and we do learn a lot, and we go, wow, I think I know what some of these milestone achievements would need to be and when they would need to happen. But that may not be the same for everybody. Or maybe, we've missed something, right? I don't know. I love the idea. I love the concept, right?
Well, I mean, the easiest thing we could do is, one, if you're watching this video, comment below on your thoughts, or if you want to, give us any input on putting something together like this, we're all ears. But we could also just do a survey and send it out to your group, just kind of a tangible. So why don't you and I think about more than 10 questions, probably less, have 1 or 2 open-ended questions, a couple of, but I've studied how to do surveys, business audience, this kind of stuff. It's there's different ways of doing it. Just throwing stuff up on LinkedIn or whatever, but it'd be probably more tangible to get people's written thoughts, if they're willing to share. And I think they would. So, and
this is what I would say for the listeners out there, for the audience, right? One of my most exciting things I get to do in the relationship that I have with Scott Tucker here is he is an idea guy, right? I mean, you know, we're on the phone back and forth, right? You generate these thoughts, these ideas, and it's exciting and it's energetic. And, you know, I just love having these conversations. You really are immersed into this, right? You're dedicated to it. And, you know, you come up with some really keen insights, right? And it just, you know, it just amazes me how you just, you know, think this stuff up. It must be on the yoga mat, Scott, when you're doing this, right? And you know, these ideas just kind of hit you, right? But you've got a lot of good ones out there, and I just love, you know, how you just kind of tease them out a little bit because there's value in every single one of these things, right? For the audience, depending on which side of the fence you're on. If you're trying to build a war chest and protect that, or how do I navigate this awkward time in my life, career progression, transition, you know, and, you know, it is all about, you know, us trying to simplify a lot of the tools, make it available for our members so that we can ensure their outcome is easier and better, right? And you've heard me say this before, you know, the fact of the matter is most, you know, in general, the demographic that lands with us at Blue Water, it's the largest underserved demographic by, you know, the tri-hatted programs, you know, like, you know, from Department of Labor, Department of Defense, right, Veterans Affairs, they all come together and they put these institutionalized programs out there. But the fact of the matter is, right, the bulk of all the attention, and probably rightfully so, lies in that, what would we say, that E4, maybe E5 window. I mean, the numbers wise, you know, per year, how many people step out of active duty, right, and you know, move on to the next success. And the bulk of the numbers are that. Our membership are a sliver in comparison to those numbers. But I've never in my heart, having lived it and done this, I've never interpreted that as need no help. You with me on that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, the powers that would be would come up to 04s, 05s, 06s, give you a firm pat on the back saying, hey, you're educated, you're smart, you're going to figure this out, you're going to be okay. While that may be true, it doesn't help the individual reduce the stress. It doesn't help them figure out these lessons that they need to figure out, right? It doesn't need to be that difficult. And the point that I make, we don't have to live with that these programs that, you know, have fallen short of meeting our needs and underserved us for so long. There's a better way, and we're a better way, right? We offer that just like you do, and I love the partnership and going forward here. And now that we've been doing this for 3 years, starting 4 years, hey, we've legitimately got analytics to talk about. Here's the results that we've delivered. You can compare and contrast that to anybody else out there. I'm game for that, right? But we're making impact, you know, for our membership. And I just love that, right? We're bringing value there.
Yeah. And that's where I think, you know, do that next step of value, bringing that membership you've already built, you know, back together for those that want to continue to network and increase those skill sets.
Yeah.
You know, why not do that in, you know, a bi-weekly kind of Zoom call environment? That's how all these are set up. You know, that it's that simple. Cool. Well, I'll, you know, work to draft up kind of a program, how that would, you know, work. Anyways, let's
get together over a cup of coffee. I mean, let's talk about it. I'd love to do it.
For sure. Because that way I can show you some functionality on the portal, the platform. Yeah. And that's kind of the last thing I just wanted to show you real quick. Is a quick vision of, I think, how, you know, we work together with some of our programs. Obviously, this is more from, you know, my perspective, but what I've never liked to say in the financial advice, financial planning, investment world, you know, whatever, wealth, insurance, is, hey, you know, Scott's a financial advisor or financial planner. No, don't call me that. Who am I to give you advice? You make your own decision. Like, no. And that's been a struggle, trying to position differently and just say, we're not doing that. We're consulting high performing senior leaders retiring out of the military who've got unique financial challenges. Regardless of where they're at financially, they don't necessarily just want to keep doing things, you know, following the masses. Right. Mm-hmm. So there's a better way to do it, whether it's how do you get a job better, or how do you do the military benefits decisions better? We'll consult you on that. And between Mike's workshops and, you know, his program, and his coaching around that as well. Really, I like to consider you a high-end consultant, right? An executive consultant. You do workshops, and then people consult with you one-on-one. And that's kind of what I'm doing. My books, I've written them as a consultation, right? Versus, hey, here's my fluffy idea. It's more like, here's the problem. Here's how you solve it. Here's an example. And yeah, that's kind of how we can, work together. And similarly, that's what I was talking about with the audit. When it comes to the financial thing, whether you're thinking about your job or you're thinking about your retirement plan,
right?
Let's see where you're at today. You did all the deployments. Where are the dollars?
Yeah.
So given that I've just done this hundreds of times, that's my free, like, hey, I'll do this for anybody, do an audit with you because I know you need to know this. And I know you're probably not on that timeline in the right perspective, or you just haven't thought about it. And since I've seen so many situations that allow, and obviously some of you are going to be a good fit to work with us. We'll point that out. We'll discuss it. I'm launching the War Chest Academy as a way to introduce this philosophy and training, so that if people want to learn more than just, hey, how do I get insurance to solve SBP? Sure, we can just do that. That's the consulting thing. If you want to get more into the coaching side of things. And so Blue Water fits, right in there, essentially through, I think we call it high caliber networking or high caliber positioning. Oh shit. There we go.
So it is. I think it's a good fit, and I'm appreciative of it because, I mean, Scott, right? I mean, sometimes our members will venture into this discussion with us, right? And while we're happy to have that discussion, I just want to be really clear. I don't look at myself as having the depth of knowledge like you do in these financial areas, right? To have these conversations, right? And to bring a lot of what you've learned to the table and share that to the betterment of our members, right? That's just not me. And this just drives home the importance of having these valued, trusted relationships, right? So I'm just not, the person out, to kind of do that. I can share with you what I did, what worked for me, but that may not be what's best for you. And Scott, that's where you come in, right? You've got that insight, right? So
yeah, but and I also want to have the platform for us to share all the knowledge, and that's what we mean by the military retirement blueprint. It's it's the space to come in and grab what you need, as you're designing your own post-military lifestyle. You might need some of it, you might need all of it, whatever. And it's our back end platform. So we can lump in our networking group right in here with everything else. So more on this to come, but can preview it a little bit. Like even today's call, we had it scheduled inside here. So that's so we can do a similar thing for this high caliber.
If I'm somebody who's listening right now and wants to go back and review some of the conversations on topics that we've had, like on strategy, on networking, can I do that through your platform?
It's all here. Jen posts everything that we've done. Here's a full replay. I mean, it's slow to load right now.
Yeah.
But all of our previous clips and stuff are here. We put it out on social media too. It's just, this is also more of our library, and we're building it out. This is the back end, so you're seeing more than it's available, but
I love it. Give me a quick update. Like, what are you and Jen working on right now? What are the next big things, in US Vet Wealth, your life?
Essentially, our next big project is getting this War Chest Academy out, like starting our kind of daily show, training program. Because really where things are going for us is other financial professionals leveraging our programs. So whether a client's already working with somebody or or even realtors or any independent business owner that might be working with a military retiree or is a veteran small business owner, if we're again talking that $250,000 annual income lifestyle or up, which is where we're going to be, whether we realize it or not, in most cases, then that's that's where things get interesting. And the other financial professionals just don't know the nuances of these military retirement benefits, and a lot of them don't have unique insurance solutions the way we do with the War Chest, because they're in the stock market, the risky money approach. And then as the economy is crashing, people start to get worried. And then the clients want to move their accounts out. This is the back end of the financial industry where it's just, accounts are up, accounts are down. People are just moving back and forth thinking they're going to get a better solution with a new person. And that's just never the case. The better approach is to go the safe money, route. And then you don't have to worry about it. But, anyways, that happens in these times every 10 or 20 years when the economy starts going haywire, people start to get worried. And so the financial professionals go, oh, well, what do I do for my clients? Well, I'll tell them about the war chest. And a lot of them have their minds blown. They haven't heard this stuff.
And I love the other thing, too, and just for the listeners out there, right? You approach it in a 10-year block, right? I know you're happy to strategize a 1-year plan or a 15-year plan.
Yeah, exactly. It's just in general.
But that 10-year block for most, if you kind of look at Blue Water's members, right, we're about that 55 to 57% 06s, right? We're about that 25 to 27%, 05s, and that demographic kind of when you're hitting, that time period, 10 years seems to kind of initially make sense to us because for many of us, you're starting to kind of approach your 50s and, you're starting to get close to that 60, 62 number. And hey, I can wrap my brain around 10 years. What does that look like? Right. And I think that's a great way to approach it. But although attractive in conversation, right. But again, for the listener, you'll script whatever plan they want, right? 8 years, 6 year, 5 year, 15 year, whatever you want to do, right? The numbers, you can kind of work that out for them. So I love that too. So it kind of makes sense, but we're kind of drawn to that 10-year block, really. I think for most of us, right?
It's the most useful because we've been thinking, I mean, that's what we're expecting. When you join the military, if you don't get out in the first 5 years, at the 10-year mark, you make a decision, am I doing 20? And then at another 10 years, at the 20 mark, you're like, am I doing more? Right? So it's fair. If you're 40 and you're thinking, all right, 10 years, I could be done at 50. And then if you're about 50 years old, I can be done at 60. Like those are tangible, goals. So that was the point anyways.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, the pension wasn't enough given inflation. So you have to work another 10 years or do something.
You need your box, right? That's what we say. How big do you need your box? So.
Exactly.
Well, it sounds like you guys are working some exciting things. I know you've been tracking us, right? For the listeners out there, right? We just knocked out our September Washington, D.C. cohort. Great audience up there. We had a chance to bring a few extra instructors up there. Scott, we're working diligently hard on, trying to get many of our instructors up to speed, right? So we almost had a one-to-one touch point, between the lunch roundtable, all the instructor base, and our members up there on that. But it was a great day up there, and we taught it at the Watergate facility, and it was just a great day, right? It really was. We also had a couple of special guests joining us there. It was Mr. TJ Grady and Mr. Mike Lowe, the individuals from the Naval Academy Alumni Association, right? So they were up laying a critical eye on us and the program and trying to understand a little bit more about what it is we're trying to build and bring together for members. We subsequently spent the following day after our cohort, we went up to Annapolis, right? And we toured the new Flugel Center up there, beautiful facility up there, the Naval Academy Alumni Association. Really proud of that building up there. They've done a phenomenal job up there. But now they're vested into, they've heard their members loud and clear. Hey, we need a little bit more for members that have, spent their time in service. And now what is the Alumni Center going to do for those individuals approaching their transition? And lo and behold, Blue Water's a kind of a turnkey solution set for them. So we're excited that that's going in a positive direction. We'll just keep our fingers crossed that we stay in conversations, and we've got some strong leading indicators that 2024 is going to be an exciting time. So more to follow on that. So that worked out well. We've also got our local area networking event tomorrow, right? We support Warriors Tap House, Dave Culler, and
I'll be there.
his team over there. And it's a great networking event, not only just to come and have a beer on us and just interface there, just with everybody who shows up, but we take it a step further, as we require everybody, or not require, but we're appreciative of people that register, so we can put together a networking connection document. And if you haven't been to one of our events, if you go and register, you'll be the recipient of this. Let me silence that, and we'll put that out. And so it really becomes an interactive, right? I participated in the networking event, but now I've got this document where everybody's email address is on there, what company or business they're with. All of this information really kind of comes out. And so we're excited about that. So that's coming up. And then I'm really excited. We've got a few cohorts left between now and the end of the year. And Scott, we're completely booked up. I've got one seat left December 6th. And we just couldn't be happier, right? So that will fill. We're still over 2 months away from our December, with one seat left, and we're just thrilled, at the response and people seeking, our insight out. But now, no rest for the weary, right? We're about ready to start cranking out on 2024's schedule, if you will, right? So I think there's going to be some interesting engagements with CNAP out in San Diego. We're continuing to work with the NSA Naples 6th Fleet team and the Naval Academy. So I think the schedule is going to, potentially take us in some exciting directions, and continuing to meet, a greater need for more individuals right out there. So we're excited about it. No, so that's just kind of a little bit of a snapshot on kind of what's going on with us. But I look forward to buying you a beer tomorrow, sir.
I don't drink beer anymore, man.
Well, come on. Maybe we'll make it a light beer, or maybe we'll, whatever. You pick your beverage of choice. So
I'll eat the steak bites. No,
okay,
no, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, protein. How about that?
Part of my the health kick. It's like, anyways. No, I don't want to. I don't try to be a Debbie Downer.
Dude. It's awesome. Yeah, you got to be lean and trim to meet the needs of all our members.
I've had my share of beer over the years. It's I had to call it quits at some point. Anyways, no, great. Glad we're going to be able to be there tomorrow. We'll bring a few more copies of our book. If you show up early enough, I'll give you a copy until we run out while supplies last. But cool, man.
I love it.
Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Warriors Tap House, Virginia Beach.
Yep.
Hit me up on LinkedIn, or visit our website, usvetwealth.com. But obviously hit Mike and I up on LinkedIn if you got any questions about what we talked about today. And then eventually I'll have more formal.
We are still here to serve, so reach out as required. Thanks, Scott.
All right, brother. Take care.
All right.